think that I'm wrong, but in this life, I'm your only one. Do you know what it means that we're the same kind? The desire you feel isn't the same as mine. I could let you go, but why should I? You're my mission, you're my mission tonight. You're nothing but mine. And the sooner you realize that for all the time
depopulated. We're automated and overpopulated. We're all fish in a stream, swimming towards a vicious dream. Don't you know we're the walking dead, dead, dead? Our lives were meant to be this bleak. Somehow they got into our heads, heads, heads. We're wide awake, yet still asleep. We're the walking, we're the walking, fear and hatred, dull and jaded. It's all been debated and manipulated. Nothing's ever as it seems. We're bound to believe everything they scream. Don't you know we're the walking dead, dead, dead? Our lives were meant to be this bleak. Somehow they got into our heads, heads, heads. We're wide awake, yet still asleep. We're the walking dead. We're the walking dead, dead. Oh, 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 oh. We're the walking dead. We're the walking dead, dead. Oh, 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 oh. Highly sedated, intoxicated. We're automated and overpopulated. Don't you know we're the walking dead, dead, dead? Our lives were meant to be this bleak. Somehow they got into our heads, heads, in our heads. We're wide awake, yet still asleep. We're the walking dead. We're the walking dead, dead. Oh, 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 oh. We're the walking dead. We're the walking dead, dead. Oh, 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 oh.
Welcome, everybody. Sorry, it's Asia Pacific Pro Finals, split purple. who's bloody ready? Welcome, welcome, everybody in chat. And uh, aren't we ready for some excitement on the track? It is wet. Oh dear. The rookies will. That's probably actually just the rookies' tears after seeing a little bit of precipitation. I don't know how much wet running any of these rookies would have done, but yeah, this is gonna be spicy, I dare say. Good field of cars here actually. At least 23 cars for our send off for 1.8 pretty much in Asia Pacific. Good field of cars and a good mix up of cars. Who are some familiar faces we can see? Oh, and it's dry for the race. Is it? It is. That's the big sad. That is the biggest sad. But Rob Maddox up there with more ass. So dare say there's going to be a bit of racing up the front. Is that not the most obvious thing anyone has ever said? Yeah, good field of rookies here too. Some familiar faces, I might say. Um, who have we got? Begg. Grant Begg. Now, a young whippersnapper in the rookie series, whipping the that's not a Bentley, that's a BMW tonight. He usually. Oh wait, no, it's just changed. Okay, yes, good. That's a Lamborghini. Eyes not switched on just yet. They need a good kick up the backside. But yes, this is a huge field of cars. This is awesome to see. Hopefully Split Purple can give us the goods once again. It was pretty good last week for the first half. So let's hope it doesn't fizzle out. How many stops have we got tonight? One, just one for the old purple. And yeah, good, great bunch of. So who we got? Julian Gray, another rookie that we cursed last week. Hopefully we don't do the same thing. Not sure Jared Ellis is still rookie. Doug Keane in the McLaren. He's given it a great crack in the rookies, putting in plenty of hours. Arend, good morning. M6, where? That is an M6. Is that Scarney in an M6? Gotta be. I think he is. You can tell by the wing. If that's him on the left-hand side, I can't tell. Yeah, that's Scarney in front. So yeah, in the M6. Love that. Love that from Scarney. Would you expect anything different? That's awesome. I don't know why I looked at the leaderboard to see who said M6 when you said it in the chat. Look, maybe I'm going to take Split Purple to just get a bit switched on. It's been a big day, but I'm excited for a long weekend. Who else in the chat is very excited for a long weekend? Got a little bit of Donington qualifying to go. Got a couple of laps left up my sleeve to hopefully improve a little bit. But 4-day weekend for me here in Queensland. I'm not sure if that's the same everywhere, in every state. Surely it is. It's a Catholic holiday. But yeah, no precipitation left after qualifying here. So I dare say that usually just spice up, we'll spice up the field and we'll see a bit of racing. Maybe we can make just a fabulous concoction of Red Bull coffee and whiskey. If someone could drip feed that to me, that'd be fabulous. Oh dear, it's been a long day, chat, but we're here. I am fed, I'm lubricated, and I'm ready to commentate some racing of the region. Not much other motorsports going on this weekend, I don't think. Maybe just MotoGP from what I understand. Oh, it looks like Greg has not hit drive, so qualifying was about as useless as shoe polish on a turd. But Yeah, Moras has said, okay, I'll take it. Let me up there. Oof, as Tommy Maloney. His Shrek BMW is gonna just wiggle on up to the front row. Yeah, that'll do it. I thought that was the case there, Glenn. Also, everybody in chat, Mr. Peabody, he is our server guru. So if you haven't already, be sure to thank him for the amount of work he's put in this season, along with the rest of the team. Is that a V12? No, it's not. I can't tell because I don't have any sound, but I thought that might have been a V12, but look, I don't know what I'm on. That's a Lexus. No, it's a Jag. That is a Jag. Okay, well. How long, is it going to be 12 fucking meters, or are we going to get through Sector 1? Answers in the chat. Ex-Olympic pole vaulter. Shout out Mr. Peabody. Mr. Pole Vaulter Body. That's what the P stands for, pole vaulter. Okay, through the worst chicane in ACC, around the last bend, and Moras is going to lead us to the green with Maloney on his right. It's quite a long pit straight here, and it seems to be the only place where you can get some sort of doable overtake done. And we go grid, and Moras has had the worst start in ACC history, as Maloney says. Thank you. We'll go 6 wide at the back here too. 2 of them are in the pit lane, doing a Sebastian Vettel up the inside, and everyone's going to compress, and there's going to be a bit of a done. Game over at the back there. Couple cars around. Straight up, that guy's on the grass out there. I've never seen anyone on the grass over there before. And they're all facing the right way. Yep, that's how it's done. Oh, there's a bit of a snappy there. But they're all up towards turn 4. As there's a couple of little wiggles that, oh, and there's the boop. He's hopefully still facing the right way, and he can rejoin safely at the back there. But Horsell, he was a bit further down the grid, so it sounds like it looks like a great start. Yeah, this was surprising. The rookies have actually taken note of what happened during the week, and they're all racing away. As we come down to the sketchiest braking zone in traffic, as that bright coloured Nissan in the background says, I'll take the inside, thank you very much, thanks for coming. That's our only Nissan in the field, I dare say, because it's probably one of the least enjoyable cars to drive. And is that that's his Mike Reel. The real deal, Mike Reel. DT already. Can't see him, must have given up. James Lorenz. Now let's see what kind of tow we can get behind this BMW up ahead. Dare say not much, because it's probably getting towed by the Lamborghini ahead. So line astern, all 30 odd drivers onto lap 2. Oh, this car is so just balanced. It's unbelievable. I'm pretty excited to see what happens with all the physics and everything for the next season, that's for sure. Like, a car's gonna be, do we think the Aston's still gonna be as stable as it is, or do we think it'll bring the gap of stability between things like the Aston and the Porsche closer together? Especially with the updated versions, it'll be very interesting to see what ACC can come up with as far as a good base. As we see a couple of yellows at the back there, maybe a bit of high-fiving with the bumpers. Julian Gray, oh no, that's Jeff Beaton. He might have had given himself a little bit of a beating, if you know what I mean. Grant Begg, the rookie we were talking about earlier, has a snap, and so if anyone tells him about the stream, tell him to start the stream from now. So that's about 27 minutes flat, and just tell him something happened with the stream. All right. That's just very unfortunate. That was the biggest tank slapper I've ever seen. He almost kept it. No, he didn't. He did not. He did not keep it anywhere near out of the wall. I did say I was practicing curses in Split Purple, so, you know, Grant knew it was coming. I didn't think it would come that hard. What has this stream turned into? Is this late night? Is this late night ACC yet? After hours with Pat? The late ACC stream? Put that on a billboard. Oh dear. Dear oh dear. Now, Mike Reel, he seems to be doing a real good job of hauling around this Nissan. Coming up into one of my funnest, I think the funnest little section of corners in Spain as you go up and about over the curbs and then back onto this little straight up the middle. So it feels so good when you get it right up the hill there and you can stay on the back of the car you're following, that's for sure. All the way down into the braking zone of a hairpin that it seems most people want to get rid of. I think the general consensus is that most racers want to see the updated version of the track, the F1 version of the track. I know we might not see it in ACC. Hopefully some licensing juggling happens for AC2 if it ever happens, and we get some updated versions of these tracks that we've given a good crack for. How long's ACC been out? It's like 3 or 4 years, right? 3 years? What's the life cycle on ACC, do we think, gamers? Was it mid-24 they were talking about AC2? Can't remember. There's a lot of chat about things all the time. This M6 just looks so good. Good livery too. The Vroom livery is probably one of my... It's up there in the top 5 liveries, in-game liveries, that's for sure. As we see someone up the inside of Scarney. No, M4. No. Is that it? Yeah, M4. M4 said, "Go away, you old dog. I'm coming up the inside." No, it's M8. Isn't it? Yeah, it's an M8. No. My head hurts. My head hurts with all the numbers. The numbers, Mason, what do they mean? This sim's been out for 5 years. Eric Scarney is able to slam a revolving door. That's awesome. I don't have a cool little talent like that, I don't think. Apart from not being able to speak the Kings. As we see a yellow flag on the straight. Now, if this isn't ACC specialty at the moment, I don't know what is. There's nothing funner than driving laps and then a yellow flag just being out eternally. He's been DQ'd. Christian Ivac has been DQ'd. And you get a yellow flag of shame by the looks of it, as Lawrenson, no, that's not a word, Lawrence, up the inside. Take that. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, he says, and he's away and off to the races. There's some new names here that I've not seen before. I dare say there's a fair few rookie faces, which I'm sure their family and friends are checking into the stream. So welcome chatters, far and near. As see, I don't know who's who in the zoo here. Hill still holding it up front? No. Yes. To the stream, the Discord hurts my eyes. Does anybody know how to speak English? Wouldn't mind a hand right about now. Okay, Rob Maddox. He's in P15 right now, out of pit lane. Where's Rob gonna end up? He did a fastest lap last lap, so I dare say he is giving it a red hot crack. Would it have been, do we think he accidentally started from the pits, or he did that on purpose? Could this be the best accidental pit start ever? As these old friends are just going at it. Hammer and tong. This poor M8 is getting bullied. M6. Oh, dude. Someone needs to put a label above these cars. What version they are. M6, M8. Too many things. It was deliberate. Oh. Well, I'm putting my bet on that he is going to finish in the top 5. I reckon he's got the pace and the strat. Still 35 minutes to go. Oh, is that car in the background? Is that Stockton? No. See, I can't read those names. I think Miles just picked up what I'm putting down. Much appreciated. Oh, that is the bee's knees. Now I can read these names. Brendan Pauly is having a cracker. Name I haven't seen, but I'm still gonna say he's having a cracker. He's got Stephen Ty ahead of him in the Jag, and he's got Lorenz, who is putting in lap after lap right on his clacker, which also has Hill. So, you know, there's names out the wazoo here. There's racing names too. If you're called Hill, Graham Hill especially, none other. Is that the real Graham Hill? Michael Babb can dribble a bowling ball. I just saw that, sorry. I've got a bit of brain latency. Apologies. Don't mind me, numbers are hard. As I think we're getting a replay here. Has someone tried to send it? No, someone's touched the grass, drifted it up the inside, blocked him, and that's a Shepherd umpire. But we're not playing play on. He's reversing it in the sand and into the commentary box. Mike Crick. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening, gents. How are we going?
Save me. I can't speak English. It's been a real issue.
I'll do my best. Who have we got going around? Literally just jumped in.
Graham Hill, the real Graham Hill, is actually in our ACC server right now. It's kind of unbelievable.
That's just the talent that we can bring in.
It's the OOR charm. But Hill here is given Loren, giving him a good fight. These guys have been together for the first 15 minutes, so who is going to pull the string the longest? Who's going to pit early? Who's going to try get it? But see, pitting early with all this traffic is probably not ideal. Too many options. As Hill says, let me try the grass. Deepest apex known to man.
Yeah, not quite managing it there. So what's been the run of the race so far? Get me up to date.
So we jumped in at the end of qualifying, which was torrential rain. So
Always good.
there were 2 cars in the sand there. That's always good. That's Maddox. Not sure if Maddox had a moment there. And there's a car facing the wrong way on a straight. That's
Interesting position.
has he had a moment coming out of turn 10 here, I think? Has he tried to catch the world's biggest tank slapper? No. He's gone extremely wide. And he put the Audi in the wall. So Greg Maddox was on an absolute run and he has just been body slammed into a wall on a straight. That is so
That's-
unfortunate.
My friend Bender would be proud of that rejoin.
I don't know if that's really a rejoin of Bender quality, but I don't think Greg expected to be body slammed into a wall.
Yeah, he definitely wouldn't have seen that one coming. It looks like it just got a little bit wide on that turn, and I don't know, he obviously just didn't have enough grip available as he's tried to get it back on track, and it's just rear end's completely lost out.
Passenger.
I've never driven the M6 much, so I'm not sure how it handled those sort of situations. It is nice to see one out track though. We don't see them very often anymore.
Here's a fun fact. That was the first car I ever drove in OOR. Before rookies, I trundled around in that car at Nürburgring, Barcelona, and Zandvoort from memory. I don't know what season that was. Was that season 5? 5?
Before
5,
my
6
time.
maybe? Yeah, back in the day. Also, someone said hello Hobbsy. Now, I don't know about you, but Mitchell Hobbs is nowhere to be seen here. So, I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I know Mitch very well. He's a nice young lad, but he's much taller than me and better at commentating, so maybe it's a compliment. We'll take it as a compliment. No, I called him Greg Maddox, the baseball player, sorry. There's a lot going on in my brain today.
It's basically the end of the week if you're in Australia. We've got the public holidays, got a nice 4-day weekend coming up. Although wait,
Yeah.
Easter's universal, right? It's Easter for everybody everywhere. That's
Yeah,
it.
but I don't know if everyone has a long weekend. I know Australia, surely we all have a long weekend, but, you know, Julian, who is in Japan, does he have a long weekend for Easter? Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's true. Although Japan might. Japan does have fairly decent amount of standard Christian holidays and things like that because of the Western influence in Japan. But you're right there. There may be some countries that don't get the whole 4-day weekend like we do, but they'll pick it up somewhere else.
Surely. If you're in Melbourne, you have a long weekend every other month, from memory. You get a public holiday here, you get a public holiday there. They're not sporadic, they're monthly. In every other state, get one a quarter at maximum.
The
But
great battle
racing-
we got going on here.
Yeah.
We've got a Nissan, an Aston, and the BMW all chasing each other nice and closely here.
Mike Reel, he's been doing a great job handling that Nissan. Now, if anyone else watches ACC streamers, you might have seen Mike Crick last night doing that exact same thing in the Nissan in split lime. That was
That
very
wasn't
brave
streamed,
of you.
was it? I hope not. That was
Wasn't
my. I hope it wasn't because it was. I had done generously 10 laps of practice in total for Barcelona in any car. I've never raced this track until last night, and yeah, I think I did a 1:48 was my best time around here last night.
That's not
so-
important, but you did stream it, and I did see that this morning.
Ah, yes, I did stream
On
it
the
myself.
train
I
ride into
generally
work.
stream them. Yeah. Yeah. Look, I had fun. It's good way to learn the track a bit in a non-championship race. Yeah, I did find quite like the track. I've only ever driven it in the Formula One game, so I had some track knowledge. But yeah, didn't exactly get the best times out of it last night. But Mike Reel doing a lot better than I was in the Nissan. So it's a strong car here, performance-wise, because BOP is pretty balanced across most of the cars here at Barcelona. It's probably one of its strengths. I know it's not a very popular track, but having a nice balanced BOP is interesting. Ooh, is Mike Reel losing the rear end of it there, unfortunately. Done a good commentator's curse there. Well done. First for the
Welcome.
night.
That Aston also has my favourite pre-made Aston livery on it. I think it says King's Meat, like all over it, and that was the one I was doing on my practice on for Imola. So I rate the livery Lorenz. Am I saying that right? Let's go with that.
I believe that's
Lorenz?
correct. Someone in
But-
chat might be able to help us out.
Yeah. Look, not important. It's the effort. King's Meat. King's Meat snacks, even better. As we're going to garage. No, we're not. Pranked you.
I see
Right,
Mike
Reel's in the
Reel
pits.
coming in for a pit stop.
It's not a bad livery, this classic MRT Kovacs. What's MRT stand for? Is that Milk Racing Team?
Yeah, it's Milk Racing Team. That's actually the car that I raced at Imola with
Oh.
our good friends Eric Scarney and Mark Witchell, who were both here last. Oh, Scarney's in this race as well.
Yeah, he's in the old Beamer.
He's in the old M6. He loves that car. He's a big fan of that car. It's he loves the sound of it. I know that. And I definitely rate the sound of this car. The downshifts on it are very nice.
It must be the only car with a livery that explains the noise that it makes. I think. As Stockton here, now John, I think started rookies similar time when I was in rookies. So good to see him still charging in OR as that Beamer of Price in front gets a bit loosey-goosey up the S's.
I'm loving these support races for our Pro and Pro-Am series because it's great to see people, driving different cars, driving things that maybe they wouldn't take for full sprint season. Ooh, as he goes a little deep there, it looks like Price just not quite comfortable into that corner, and Stockton tried to take advantage of it, but it was a bit clumsy and he didn't make it.
Oh, that's a track limit DT for our main man Price in front there. So he
no.
did he just get forced into that by the Lamborghini behind?
Potentially,
must-
I think he went a little deep himself. It's pretty easy to do on that corner.
He's serving it.
Oh, well, you got to serve it.
That's
Still 23 minutes to go. You can recover from this. Price is very fast customer.
They're coming in hot, these DTs. Jared Ellis, car 343, has just said, I'll take one of them too. As it seems like everyone is doing their pit stops now. Kind of half-half. I don't think this track gives any real advantage to going long on a tank or like short long or long short as far as strat. I think your tires, the tire life, there's no, I don't know, you don't have the same sort of pace across a stint at this joint, so you probably half I think is mostly the way to go here, especially those left-hand tires. I don't know about you last night, but me in the Porsche, those left-hand tires did not love life after about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's where you definitely see the most wear. I don't think any car doesn't suffer from that. I mean, the Nissan's notoriously good on tires, and yeah, it was having a bit of a struggle on those tires, but hard for me to gauge. I was a bit well off the pace to give any real insight there, but I think generally a half-half strat's going to work here. But I don't know, in ACC with the way the pit stops work, generally going long, trying to go for an overcut is usually your best default strategy. Doing undercuts on most tracks honestly just doesn't tend to work. In Barcelona here, I can't imagine doing an undercut working particularly well unless you've got lots and lots of pace and maybe you've been in an early incident or something like that. Like we saw before, we saw Jared was not taking a little cut there. Interesting that we've got someone dead there on pit lane too. It's all happening. Maybe
car
not enough
facing
people
the wrong
practicing.
way.
The pit entry. It is a bit of a weird pit entry. It kind of sneaks up on you if you're not ready for it because it's on the wrong side of the track, really, for when you want to actually take that pit lane. It's sort of you, it can be hard to sort of cross over, especially if you've got someone following behind you.
Yeah, I agree. And in traffic, making that rash decision can sometimes bite you in the backside because, I don't know, you're used to taking it at a certain pace and everyone is getting in a rhythm as far as pace in a group, and you spin or you lose a little bit of grip, and it's just such an awkward area to get back into there as well.
Yeah, it's just sort of off the main racing line.
Yeah.
It just makes it a bit awkward to approach. You definitely got to make sure you're ready for it well in advance, I think, because you really do have to slow down, I find, on that final corner just to get the car in there safely without it seeming like an erratic move to whoever's chasing you if you got someone real close behind.
Definitely. As we check in with the man of the hour, Julian Gray. Now, he's avoided the curse. No, he hasn't. Don't worry. I've just remembered what happened in the first 10 minutes. But he's still out on track. No, that was Rob. Was that Rob? No, it was Julian. It was Julian. It was definitely Julian. But he's still out there. I think he had a massive tank slapper going up turn 10 just for contest's sake, and he went straight left into the wall. So he's come back out.
It's interesting that he hasn't taken his mandatory then if he did get damaged and decided to pit for it.
Is that who was?
Maybe a different driver because it doesn't look like that car's damaged and he hasn't done a pit stop, and I don't believe this race should have any sort of pit window where he wouldn't have been able to pit in the opening laps. So maybe it was someone else. Either way, he's doing pretty well up there in third place. I mean, before pit stops, but should come out in reasonable time given the gaps that we can see.
No, that was Grant Begg. That's who I was thinking of. I think he might have disconnected. Unless he's just not on the timing screen.
Maybe below 23rd place there.
But yes, I was talking about some rookies that I've been seeing getting amongst a lot of these races. And as we cut to Grant, I'm pretty sure he went left at turn 10, which is a right-hand turn, and straight into the tyre barrier.
Oh, interesting.
So apologies. Sorry.
Interesting thing I found out last night. Part of learning the track is if you pretend that terrible, terrible chicane that they've now finally removed for the Formula One this season, which is going to be great, if you decide to ignore that, intentionally or not, you get a lovely stop go 10 penalty for that.
Yep. That'll do it. I've actually gotten a stop go 10 in a game given stop go 10 in this sprint series before at Zolder. I did the clap. Can you sometimes like to avoid smashing a car ahead you can like stomp the throttle to get out of the way. I did that at the second chicane at Zolder and just avoided death, and I got a stop go 10, and it was one of the biggest sad moments of my life.
Yeah, very similar to how I managed to get it last night because there was another car behind and I completely messed it up. Just inexperience on the track, and was like, oh, I'll just go straight here and just take it slowly. Cut across here. There was no one behind I was going to come into, and I took it nice and slow, and it still stop go 10. So they don't take prisoners here at Catalunya. Do not cut that chicane.
I think it's the amount of track you cut, because I know there's a similar thing at Misano where in the last sector, if you spin at one of those fast right-handers and then cut the grass of the hairpin, it can DQ or DT you for the amount of track you cut.
Yeah, that's a particularly famous one. I remember when we were doing rookies that was something that we were expressly warned about multiple times not to do that. So I've never done it myself. I've always been very careful not to try and cut across that section there because I think it is similar. It's a stop go 10 or a stop go 30 or something
Yeah.
like that. It may even be a full disqualification. I remember it's pretty harsh, but I don't remember the exact penalty. But yeah, they don't take prisoners there.
No, not at all. Not at all. Because I know I think there is like a shorter version of the track that cuts out that hairpin, which would be interesting in GT3 cars, but
There we go, Babsy confirming it is a
Yeah.
DQ if you go inside the hairpin third last. Yep. So yeah,
Classic.
that's even worse than here at Catalunya.
Yeah. Super strange, because there's no way you're going to gain any sort of advantage from cutting across that grass. Really, is there? By the time you get off the grass back onto the tarmac on the other side, I don't know.
A pretty
Super
slow
strange.
hairpin, I guess. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, you would definitely gain some time. But yeah, I don't know if it's a DQ worthy thing. I think it's more just to discourage people because obviously you don't want people coming onto the track from that position. You know, cutting across and
Yeah.
rejoining there. I think it's a pretty dangerous place, based on the corner that follows it. People usually going pretty flat out there, so that's probably more the reasoning there. Or you know, just Kunos decided to do Kunos things. You know, they just make their own rules sometimes, and we got to follow them.
Yeah, bloody Europeans, honestly. Something I might point out too, chat, if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe. Really helps the channel. Obviously, we're here in our last sprint championship race for Asia Pacific, and our pros are about 10 minutes away from putting on a show. I'm not sure when quali starts, but shortly we will see the best of the best in our Asia Pacific region battle it out across, I think it's an 80-minute race with 2 pit stops, so a little bit longer of a standard race and an extra little whammy of a pit stop. Kind of just spice up the strategy. It's probably good. These drivers will be pushing hard and be able to use more of the tyre, just because there's not going to be a whiff of tyre saving or longevity for any set of tyres. So it'll be a good showcase for what Asia Pacific can do in Octane Online Racing.
Yeah, it kind of breaks it into 3 little mini sprint races. Ooh, see both the cars. It was almost a bit of a sympathy drift there from Zwali, who's from Morass. He's very closely following Maloney ahead. Pretty easy to get a tank slapper going there.
That Zawali had an absolute night last night. He's got some rocket pace in that Ferrari.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll
Thank
see
you,
him switch to the new one once that launches. Have you got a pick, Pat? Have we talked about that? Do you have a pick of the new cars? Are any of those new cars taking your interest? Ooh, bit of
That's
a weird rejoin there.
Oh, it's the camera.
Cameraman decides to take a vacation and show us the hill because that's what
He's
we
on
wanted to see.
whatever I'm on. I think this past couple of weeks have turned me into a Porsche guy. So Sean Muller, if you're out there listening, I am on your team now. I'm gonna give the new Porsche a crack. I think because it sounds amazing, it looks amazing, and if it's anything like its predecessors, it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge to really get the maximum out of the car. And I've not raced it competitively in a season yet, except for my first ever endurance race here, which was, I think, 9 hours of Imola in 2020. I think just 2020. 2020, I think I joined OR, and there are a couple of drivers that joined me around Imola. But yes, back to the story. Porsche. Porsche it is. Porsche 992 GT3. I think. Is it 992? That's the new one, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe it's the 992. Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
that's the
current
new one.
one's 991.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the only of the 3 cars that is of interest to me. I'm not sure if I'd take it for a series. I'm pretty committed to sticking with the GTR for as long as OR lets me drive that car. I think I'm going to keep driving it until it becomes so uncompetitive that they remove it entirely from the roster. But yeah, until that day comes, I'm going to be probably sticking with the Nissan. But I'll definitely give all 3 cars a crack just to see what they're like. But yeah, look, I'm not a big fan of most of the mid-engine cars. in the game. I've got no special loyalty to either Ferrari or a Lamborghini, so neither of those have got piqued my particular interest, to be honest. I do like the sound of the Ferrari, though. It does sound very nice. But yeah, I might give the Porsche a crack. If the Porsche is good, I might consider taking it for a full sprint season. But yeah, I don't know that I'll be taking up any of those new cars. But it will be cool to see a few new cars on track and see what the performance is like and which of them ends up being quick on what tracks. And yeah, especially the new Porsche, I think will be interesting to see how it compares to the old one, given how prevalent the old one is amongst some of the higher level esports drivers.
Yeah, sure. I think from what I'm hoping, as I see the most preposterous statement ever from Babs in the chat about the Bentley, I'm hoping 1.9 brings a smaller spread of cars. I'm hoping it really shows each car's strengths and weaknesses in different areas of driving, like IRL, where the cars are pretty close everywhere, except you have a couple of outstanding vehicles everywhere. Like here, for instance, the McLaren used to be a rocket ship. I was seeing people doing 42s and even high 41s in the McLaren at this place, and now it's in the mud. So I'm hoping this 1.9 update just brings everything a little bit closer together, and I think that's what everyone wants at the end of the day. You want close racing in any car.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and hopefully for all the cars except the ones, obviously, things like, unfortunately, the Bentley, which I would 100% support making great again, because I do like the Bentley. I love that car, and the Nissan as well. But I think cars like the Bentley and the Nissan and some of the older cars like the Lexus are probably not going to see much of an update, if anything at all, to make them more competitive. I think they're, just that they're not being raced as much anymore is kind of signing their own death warrants there as far as ACC is concerned. But it would be nice to see things like the McLaren gain a little bit. The McLaren used to be, like you said, a rocket ship around most tracks. Most people probably considering it a little overpowered, I guess, at the end of the day. And it did see a few nerfs. It's got a bit of extra weight. They've made the car quite a bit heavier, which has impacted its performance. Yeah, the BOP for the McLaren has hurt it. I think Morden was necessary, but I don't know. That's just game balance. It's hard for them to get it perfect, to be honest.
But as you say, the Bentley and Lexus don't get driven. I know the Lexus is still the current car of choice for Lexus in IMSA, and they're still pretty competitive over there. But with the Bentley, yeah, I think there's barely any Bentleys. I think a team in Australia own one of the most current GT3 Bentleys, from what I know. But yeah, Babs, I just pray that they would do something like, I don't know. I just have high hopes.
Yeah, look, it's one of those things. I tend not to get too involved as morasses. Really, on the back of we got a big challenge here for the lead of the race. These two guys going at it within very small amounts of times, and everybody's done their pit stop. So this is actually for position. We do have a bit of a race going on for the lead here. You see, Pickford's a fair way off, so it really is just these two cars. Aston v BMW. We've got 8 minutes to do it. It looks like there's a little bit more pace here for Fab. Does seem to be chasing pretty hard there on the rear end of Maloney, but I don't think Maloney's going to give it up too quickly, even though this is, sort of a fun race and it's not for points. I think he's going to hold that as best he can.
Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to be able to see the end of this race, but I agree with Eamon. Make the Jag great again. Now, that's something that we did I think it was last year. There was pre-races for the finals was a Jag only race, or maybe it was just a Jag fun race on its own. But I do remember we did that at Kyalami, and there was a massive pile up at turn 1 after the race, and cars were doing backflips and massive spins and stuff. That was good. That was a hoot.
Yeah, it's always fun to do those little special events where we go back to an older car. We did a race not too long ago. It was the V12 Jag and the V12 Aston and the and the Nissan going around Bathurst. That was a bit of fun to drag some of the older cars out on some fun tracks. You know, you're not doing it for points or anything like that. It's just a bit of fun.
Definitely. Here's a question. What car have people not raced competitively that they're considering giving a crack? I've got about I think two or three cars that I've not driven or raced competitively. One being the Porsche. Another one being the Ferrari. Doesn't really interest me. And the Nissan. I think out of the current vehicles. Oh, and the Lexus. Those are my few. None really interest me. But that's my selection. What about you, Mike? Have
Well,
you?
I haven't been playing the game probably quite as long. I've only got 500 driving hours, I think. I've got a lot
Oh,
more than that, but I do a lot of broadcast and liveries and video creation and stuff at OLR, so my hour time is a bit off with how much I've actually spent in it. So I haven't driven most of the cars competitively. Mainly, I've driven the Nissan and the McLaren competitively. They're the two cars that I've spent the most time in.
mm,
And the BMW, because I've done endurance races in that car, because it's a really good pick for enduros if you're looking for a nice solid race car for those longer events.
oh, I
If you
mean,
want to give the
yeah.
Nissan a crack, though, if you want to give the Nissan a crack, I definitely recommend giving it a crack at an endurance race, because the Nissan is an unsung hero as far as endurance races goes. As far as I'm concerned, it's got such good tire life, it's good fuel consumption. It's a
Y-
solid pick for enduros, I tell
Mike,
you.
the car salesman, works for Datsun. But yeah, I mean, also the BMW. But we've chosen the BMW for the Donington race, so it's been an absolute dream to drive so far. That thing is just on rails if you have the right setup,
Yeah, look, the
especially around Donington.
BMW, it's definitely hard to go past for those longer endurance races. You know, yeah, it's just really solid and quite easy for multiple people to drive as well. I think that's a big thing about the BMW. It's like almost anybody can drive it. I don't want to make it sound like it's, you know, easy to drive or anything like that, but it it does cope with a lot of different driving styles and methods and all that kind of thing. So it's a solid choice for an endurance car because it's hard to go wrong with it no matter what kind of driver you are.
Game's easy, is what Mike's just said.
Yeah, the
If
game's
you
too
drive
easy.
the BMW, the game's easy. Or the Nissan endurance events. Now you're probably the first person I've ever heard say that. So we're gonna put Mike in the die-hard Nissan section.
Oh, I'm already there. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've clearly not been paying attention to everything I do. I've been Team Nissan since the beginning. It's my favorite car to drive. I drove the McLaren for a bit. I enjoyed it, but I just found myself coming back to the Nissan just because it's just so fun to drive. Oh no, his rest goes a little bit too wide there. Still chasing though. It's a really good little battle. It's a shame we probably won't catch the end of it. Um, but because I think qualifying is just about to kick off, but we'll stick with it as long as we can, and I'm sure we'll get the race results from the Discord a bit later.
Mm. That corner is so difficult late stint with your left-hand tires dying. Moistness towards the end of Pro Quali, according to chat. So, are we seeing a bit of spice in Barcelona? You
That's
have
it.
to say that when you go to Barcelona, right? Everyone has to say Barcelona.
I'm not going to try. I defend the entire Spanish nation.
Really? My partner learned Spanish, so I know like poco español.
I barely know how to speak English.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch back the first 10 minutes of the stream, you will hear the live podcast of the Struggle Bus with Pat Oliver. Now, can we get a wellness check on Malik? Is Malik still there?
Alex always there.
Now, he was a bit upset earlier. He said he got a pizza delivered, but it was cold.
Didn't
So,
have pineapple on it, did it?
you know, I've actually seen Malik eat pineapple on a pizza and enjoy it before. I don't know if
No, that's a lie.
that was on stream. It was on stream at Imola, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe the
I
bet
don't
happened at
believe that.
Imola. It was in our first endurance series. The 3-hour two-man team endurance series. That was a hoot. Shout out to Dog Ryan. I'm not sure what he does these days. I haven't spoke to that lovely gentleman in a while, but he was my dynamic duo. How long have you been with OOR, Mike?
I joined roughly about this time last year. I started rookies actually. Yeah, so it would have been about Aprilish. Yeah, that's just about a year now. I've been with OOR and roughly ACC the same amount of time. Before that, I've played the original Assetto Corsa for a bit in a few other leagues, and drove old touring cars and that, and a bit of Formula One. The old Formula One games and the new Formula One games.
Yeah, good on ya. I think I've been with OOR mid to early 2020. Took a bit of a hiatus last year, but returned, and I'm glad to be behind the wheel again and getting stuck into sprints and the special events. It's particularly the long events that I think are the pinnacle of Asia Pacific racing with OR.
Yeah, absolutely. As I think we're going on to our last lap here, as we see a big challenge here from Ras, trying to look up that outside edge there. I'm not sure if he would have maybe trying to get the next apex on the inside there, but didn't quite make it work.
Traffic. Block them.
A little bit of traffic ahead might factor into this battle a bit. You'd hope not. I'm not sure which car that is ahead.
Stay in the way. Oh no.
Oh no, no, not like that. Why are you encouraging this behavior, Pat?
Sorry. I don't know what's going on. He's kept his foot in it almost. Oh dear.
I'm not sure who that other BMW is. Maybe not realizing there was a car behind. It was a blue flag there because it didn't look like it gave him enough space on that corner. I mean, you do have 5 turns. Technically, didn't have to give it up just then, but still, you would have liked to have seen a little bit more yielding from a lapped car in that sort of situation, especially with the leaders.
I bet if you see 1 and 2 on your relative coming up behind you, I'm sure you could have just pulled off to the side and let them by. Technically, if they finish, even if you do it just before the line, you do 1 less lap. So, just get out of it. Just get out of the way.
Just get out of it. Yeah, no, I agree. But it looks like despite that, Matt Maloney is going to hold on and claim this victory. But well done. To both those drivers there. That was a great little fight towards the end of that race. So it was really good, really close racing, very fair. A little bit of aggression from the drivers behind, but still very fair and clean racing. As we obviously now we go to switch to the main event. We go to watch the best of the best finish one last race here.
Yes, this is the main event. This is for all the marbles. There is an absolute spattering of drivers who are in for a chance with this next event. Now, if you're new here to OR, if you're new to our streams or the chat, might be wondering what was just going on. So, we have a couple of different series that run in ACC, in Asia Pacific, and that was pretty much just a little entree to what goes on at OR. We stream ACC in the Asia Pacific region twice during the week, usually on a Wednesday and a Thursday night, and is comprised of heaps of different classes, pro-am and amateur, and this is what it all boils down to. This is our third of 3 finals races. We've been to Donington. Last week we were in Hungaroring, and our final race is here in Barcelona. There looks to be a little bit of cloud lingering. Not sure if there has been some rain. And but it's nice and cloudy. I dare say these pro drivers will be absolutely loving life. With the lack of precipitation, but also the lack of heat on the track, which, oh, as I spoke, the water began. Did that really just happen? I spoke, and then the precipitation began. It's wet too. Maybe that my eyes are just falling out of my head.
Yeah, it's definitely precipitation on track.
Was it wet before though? No, I think most of these drivers have had an absolute. Yeah, no. Okay. I'm okay. I promise I'm okay.
Yes.
Now,
Looks like we had dry running to start the session, and now we're
oh,
seeing, yep, a few people out there still on dry tires, trying to set laps as the rain comes down and the track changes its condition to greasy.
okay, let me ask this question. Do the drivers just sit around for 5 minutes now? Because, I mean, it's not. There's no way anyone is going to get a better lap time in the next 5 minutes. I mean, unless for some reason your dry time was extremely poor and you're gaining time in the wet. But I don't. I, it'll be interesting to see what happens here if they're just going to skip the session or whatnot. Maybe for the realism they'll keep it going, but I cannot see anybody improving.
Yeah, I very much doubt we'll see anybody who has at least set a lap already really trying to push for another one. Sasha's going to give it a go, though. Try and see what kind of time they can do on those tires. It is only greasy, and you can still pull out reasonable times on dry tires here. But yeah, you can imagine the best times are pretty much as it is. I can't see anyone improving on what they've done, and we can see most drivers in the pits. So it does look like we're going to have a pretty short session here with the rain not going to alleviate in the next minute or two, and the track is pretty much going to stay as it is.
Now, if I know
Burrs
someone
has
with
given
car
us a
control,
show.
Lucas Burrs, he's probably put another set of dries on, and he is going to give us a little show.
Cranking up the Eurobeat in that car.
I actually discovered his YouTube channel when he entered OR, and man's used to absolutely smash out the Toge on AC, regional AC. So man's got some car control, as I'm sure everyone's aware if they've been watching the other pro finals. But
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Burrs just shows that, as much as his BOP influences things and as, much as car selection can, sort of dictate your pace a bit around certain tracks, it's still all the way down to driver's skill because he's in the GTR and he's performing right at that top level with the best of them. So yeah, I mean, it's great to see for as someone who loves this car, someone really wringing its neck and watching the way he gets speed out of this particular car. It's really great to watch. It's not quite done it there, but the fact that he didn't end up in the wall there is pretty impressive.
he is having so much fun. I feel like I remember a video, I'm not sure if it was him or it was Cooley or someone else that was drifting around Suzuka in the Aston. That was a cool video.
Yeah, I
they
had a
almost
front row
drifted the whole
seat
track.
to that. He was on the practice server doing that in the lead up to the Suzuka race, and I was right behind him, and he was just doing drifts. He was still faster than me while he was drifting around the track, which just goes to show you the pace difference between me and the pros up here, because he was still maintaining a reasonably decent gap.
Now, I'm going to kick us off with a bit of a sad note. I've just seen the lack of Corey Sweet on the time sheet. Now, obviously life happens, but he had a pretty good first couple of races in the finals. So, sad to see him not here, but valiant effort from the old man of South Australia.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate thing. Sometimes, you just can't make it in a series like this where there's only 3 races. You really can't afford to miss any of them if you want to be anywhere near the top. As we see Cooley going out trying to see if he can top Burz's drift sessions there.
Good evening, Chris Murphy, and welcome into all the chatters that have just tuned in. Diabols, good to see you around. Everybody, thanks for stopping in. Get a warm drink, get comfortable, because we have 80 minutes of Barcelona coming up right now. Not right now, but in the next little bit.
Be interesting to see the track condition once we switch over to the race day as well, just to see whether the track is still entirely wet or just a bit greasy or even maybe overly fast, because that can make a pretty big difference to your strategy and how you approach the track and how you attack it in the opening laps. Even a fast track is quite different to an optimal track, so it'll be interesting to see if this carries over into that next session.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely agree. Big agree. There's so much potential for some amazing racing conditions coming up. So, 2 stops, changing conditions. What are we thinking?
Hard to say without knowing, exactly what it's going to
Honestly.
be. If it's going to be wet to start with, or if it's going to just be greasy, like I said. Because yeah, that'll change things up a bit. 2 stops does make it a bit easier to do your strategy, I suppose, if it is a wet race, because you can always switch to dries at the end, and you're not stuck, doing the last 10 minutes of the race on, a set of wet tires that are slowly melting into the track. So it will be a little easier than it normally is when we only have a 1 stopper, I guess. But it really just depends on the way it goes. I mean, we saw at Imola the enduro race last time around. We had conditions changing every single hour, and it was like a bit of chaos for every team trying to work out exactly when to pit and what tires to put on. And yeah, changing conditions, and it can affect other cars, different ways. Some cars are really good in the wet, other cars not as good. Some really excel.
And I think Tafik here is using this moment to get some pressures. I dare say some tire pressures. That's a hectic livery, by the way. Is that a dog or like a wolf on the back quarter?
Not quite get a good look at it. I think it is though.
Got some awesome
Mad Dog.
creations with these custom livery pieces.
Yeah, it's great to see what people turn up with and some of the interesting ideas. Some people taking it really seriously and going for very, things that look like real racing cars, and others going for, more fun, meme-ish kind of liveries. It's interesting to see the variety on track, but it does look like we're dry for the race start at least.
It is so dry. Very Barcelona. Or Barcelona. Just got to keep it authentic. So, I think we had Ardianza on pole.
Yeah, I believe I've had Paul and Bakita next, second place, then Ristofani, Alec Rudin, Burrs, John Sneakers. Oh no, sorry, Jean Pierre, JP Sneakers, in the 44. Hasnam, Cooley, Sang, and McNeil are our top 10. But it's always weird in these pro series because I'm seeing someone like Jacob Witherburn, for instance, in 16th just seems weird to me. But then you remember the strength of the entire field here, and yeah, it sort of puts it in perspective.
And someone who's slightly out of place, who's been having a really strong finals, is Chris Sang, who is currently leading the points. He's qualified in P9, so might not have got the absolute maximum out of his qualifying run, but obviously 80 minutes is a long race, 2 stops each. There's definitely lots that can go on in this race, and we've seen it in the past. Insert 12 effing meters quote.
Yeah,
Those that know,
exactly.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think obviously that short, it basically ends up being a less than 5 minute qualifying session once you get that sort of changing conditions there. If you didn't get out early enough, or you boggled up your banker lap, you're probably not going to be in exactly the position you should be. So that should make for potentially an interesting opening phase of this race, as a few of the drivers who maybe are slightly out of the position they should be in try to gain up some of those spots. But as we've seen with the the overall strength of field and pace in this Pro Series, it's not going to be easy to make those overtakes, even if you're slightly pacier than the people ahead.
Definitely, and I think we might see some more aggression from Philippa Bakita this week. Last week she had a bit of a rough start and just got caught in traffic, as Hungaro Ring does. It doesn't allow for much passing, so if she gets out in front early, I think Ardianza might be up for a bit of a battle on their hands. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't
Ox-
think DAF is going to quite be able to run away with it as easily as they did last time around, just because Bakita's right there. But, there's always that potential for a mistake in the opening laps, as we saw last race. So, yeah, she'll be wanting to keep her position as best as she can out here because, yeah, it could be, as we saw, it's everybody's so quick that even someone as fast as Bakita is going to struggle to get through this field.
As we start our formation lap, I might take our attention to the point standing. Now, the top 10 goes a little bit something like this. Oh, I tried. Something a little bit like this. See, all the right words, not the right order. Chris Sang leading in first. Lucas Burrs in second. Corey Sweet, who has not attended tonight, in P3. Good on him. Rialto Ristofani in P4. Demario Hasnam, P5. Philippa Bakita, P6. Austin McNeil, who has qualified P10, not too far. Brad Cook in 8th. Benjamin Hignett in 10th. Wow, numbers are also really difficult. Benjamin Hignett is in 9th, and Jean-Pierre Sinikis rounding out the top 10 of the points. I think our closest Ferrari is going to be Joshua Vediga in P18. So, Spidey, looks like you need a promotion for next season, mate. Just saying.
Yeah, I think that promotion might be coming after his overall performance in the Pro-Am finals that we saw the last race of last night.
Yeah, they've been producing some great racing, those Pro-Ams, so it'll be interesting to see who goes up and who stays in Pro-Am for next season. We might see an influx of pro drivers. I think so anyway, after some performances there, as Burrs takes a bit of a trip out onto the marbles. They all died on a curb. Oh yeah, that's too soon, Chris. Poor rest in peace, Ferraris. But apparently it's not bad. Spider was saying it's not bad. But I think I threw you under the bus last week, Mike, so I'll take away our last Pro Split Finals race for Asia Pacific here at Barcelona, as they come around the final turn onto almost the longest pit straight. I'd say, yeah, no, it could be the longest pit straight on ACC. Ardianza and Bakita are going to lead us down into the turn 1, and we're green. We're away. Spread 3 wide already as Kyrudin is looking up the inside, and I'm going to say this, Ristofani trying to push Ardianza ahead as Burrs on the outside gets very cheeky, and he's going to lose out, and there's going to be a spinner. Bakita has been bonked and is losing out, and there's mayhem in the back. Oh, there's some cars facing the wrong way. Oh, it's all happening. 12 meters. Insert 12 meters quote. I'm out. Goodbye. Good day.
I think that was a little further than 12 meters, but it wasn't much more. Yeah, lots of things going on there. I think Bakita almost got a bit of a jump on the start too. She looked like she was way ahead there as they went to the line. Daffer didn't quite get the drive off the line there. I'm not sure exactly when they went green, but it did look like she was a bit further ahead. But it doesn't really matter at this stage. She's dropped right back. We see other battles back here. Rashidi battling with Ooh, that's not Weatherburn. That's a Mercedes of, I'd like to say... Nope, the name's escaped me. I do know who that is, but it's escaped me. But anyway, having a battle. It's all resolved itself now. And that was an interesting start, that's for
Oh, we're still
sure.
green. I didn't think we were still green. This is awesome.
Well, I don't think any cars... Well, there was, yeah, a couple of bonks there. It didn't look like anybody got completely turned around and spun around and was an obstruction on track. So it looks like the stewards have just ruled this as play on, which is unfortunate for anybody who got any damage there. But it didn't look like anybody was in the wall from what I saw, but there was a lot of cars going around, so I wouldn't be surprised if we missed one just jumping off the track. But if we look at the field, they're all still bunched up together, so it doesn't look like anyone lost a major amount of time there.
Yeah, that was something. I got up thinking that but anyway, not that I don't think you would be able to pit under safety car to repair damage, from what I understand about the rules. As we see Bakita just setting up the inside. Oh, as the McNeil, I think that was having a bit of a moment. I can't tell
Was
who's who.
McNeil, and it looks like Peach got a little bit, yeah, it was a bit of an unfortunate victim there, but still up there in 10th place as the sectors sort of work themselves out. We've got a lot of cars all going into their turn here, all sort of bunched up together. Very close racing so far, mostly keeping it cool since that first turn incident. Got a car going just a little wide, but still managed to hold on to it. We see Weatherburn almost losing the car there, but managing to hang on to it. But got to be watching on the inside here as the Castrol McLaren comes up, has a look, but doesn't quite make it there.
Yeah, these guys are, and girls, are giving it the absolute beans by the looks of it, and I dare say Weatherburn has just got a track cut for extending the limits there on turn 10, which seems to be a hot spot, as I think we saw Gibbo go up the inside there, so good on Callum Gibbons.
We're looking at Hasnam now, all the way down in 25th, so it looks like the biggest loser out of that turn 1 kerfuffle. Hopefully we can get a replay of that at some stage, but it's hard to look away from the action on track at the moment, as everyone's all pretty much within a tenth or a second at least. Spurs going fastest, the 1:43.3, that's pretty good pace on the opening laps.
And Ristafani down in 21st, and Hassan in 25th, who are P4 and P5 cars in the points. So
A few recovery drives going on, I think.
that chat about Chris Sang not qualifying well, that's gone out the window.
Yeah, it's
He's
all
up
played
in
into his
P3.
hands.
Yeah. And Ali Kairudan still doing well. He just cleared everyone, I think. I think from what I remember, Burrs was given it the beans on the outside of turn 1, and I think that caused just a bit of an accordion effect just inside him. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we can get a replay. Snapper N, there is an hour and 15 minutes left in this race, as the top of the screen points out. But welcome in. Nice to see you.
Yeah, quite a bit to go here, so there's definitely going to be a few changes for position. But Sang and Burrs doing well here, as Daff has sort of gotten pretty good results out of that first turn, managed to avoid everything there, and has just shot away after a bit of a bad start. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on the steward's box to see if there's any penalties from that first couple of turns, because there was a lot of bonking going on, a lot of pushing and sliding, and you know, whether there's any instance coming out of that. Oh, so we see that Castrol McLaren from earlier has fallen off a bit.
Johnson.
Yep, that's Johnson, yep. All the way back down at the back behind Hasnam here.
As Sonicus, I'm going to say that is John.
Very early pit stop. That's
No, it's
JP.
John
John,
Pierre.
unfortunately, wasn't... it made it easy for us tonight, because John Sonicus unfortunately had a power issue. So he's unable... Oh, Morgan. I'm not sure what Morgan was thinking there. I don't know if just completely missed their brake marker, but just gone completely off track. Thankfully, not taking anybody out in that instance, but that's going to put him right to the back of this pack now.
Do you think that's JP just trying to clear? Like he's going to be in such clear air when he comes out. I think that could be a great idea. If he was getting
Yeah,
just caught up in a bit of traffic, now he will have unbelievable amounts of clear air to just put in lap after lap, and hopefully not have the leaders too close to the back of him.
yeah, exactly. It could be a pro strat here as we go to a replay. Okay, let's watch that start. So yeah, again, it looks like Nikita quite a bit ahead there on the start, so I'm not sure what's happened there. Yeah, Burr's going a little wide there, but I don't think that was, yeah, it was really just those two BMWs there, just getting caught up there and, ooh, bit of not giving enough space. I think definitely just looking at the a number of bonks there on Sinicus. Yeah, here we go. We see it from Paquita's perspective. I think this is going to show a bit. Yep, she's gotten a punt
That's
there
doing
and been
all
sort
right.
of pushed back into line there, actually, and just struggling to get on track. She's navigating it.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was wow. That was a tough. Honestly, it's a credit to the drivers that didn't end up being an absolute disaster, and everybody pretty much kept it on track. But I dare say, looking at that Peach has decided to pit early in order to fix some damage because he did get a few bonks in that. So, gonna get that clear air. Hopefully, he can take advantage of it and see if he can recover.
Yeah, it might be interesting to know how much damage he did repair, because
Well, Babs has just updated us in the chat and he said he had nearly 20 seconds of damage from that. So, yeah, he
I
definitely had
don't
to pit.
I don't know. Well, look where he's come out just in front of the leaders. He's that middle straight ahead of the leaders. So if he did, obviously it's going to help his pace. But maybe it was side damage. Could have been side damage. So that usually doesn't affect too much of the car's handling characteristics. So it'll be interesting to see
See
from
it
the replay
here. Yeah,
here.
it's copped it on the front.
Left, front, side, still
Yeah,
side, front.
yeah,
Uh,
bit of a front damage. Yeah, that's going to be overall. If he didn't repair that, I'd be very surprised. And based on his position on track, like, that would have been, roughly a minute of pit stop if he did change tires at the same time. It just depends on whether he changed tires or not. So that seems about right where he's on track. But he's a pacey customer, so I don't think Daff is going to be catching him too quickly.
not running out. Cooley getting out of the way of Bakita. Oh well. Snapper, you're dead right. Yeah, 20 seconds, I guess, front damage is definitely not going to help the suspension, that's for sure. Didn't design it that way. Oh, Rashudi just exited stage left. I don't mean to giggle, but that was a hell of a tank slapper.
Off to
He
the
just
shadow
got
realm there, unfortunately for Rashudi.
thrown. He just, that old meme where they would be on stage and then a cane would come out of nowhere and pull them off stage left. That's what I just imagined just then. Am I whispering?
We're on board here. Probably just a little bit of audio tweaking. I know we've got some changes behind the scenes in the broadcast setup. So, yeah, any of those little technical issues, it's fine to let us know that. And the man in the box, Malik, will do his best to resolve those things. But if that doesn't fix it, I can always adjust my level. I'm sure Pat can do some things.
Tell
and
me
we'll
what to
try and
do.
be legible. We can always talk louder.
Absolutely. I prefer not to, but, we do what we have to do for the man, the myth, the legend, Neil Mullick Alexander behind the switches, who puts on this lovely show for us all. So already having positive feedback, so I appreciate that, as Artie Answer puts in a 143.0. So he's woken up the beast of his BMW. Artie Answer, that's for sure.
Yeah, the kind of pace we'd expect, but not really taking away too far from Burr's behind, like not screeching away like he was at the Hungara ring. So race is definitely still on for that top position.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to wake my missus up, Scrant. It you wouldn't hear the end of it, that's for sure.
Can't all speak as loud as you, Scarny.
No, I've tuned into one stream of Scarny's, and the passion behind that. He must be a true Queenslander, that's for sure, because he's just got something about him. And I'm also a Queenslander, so you know, I know.
Absolutely. So Bakita here, a second away from Samuel, doing quite well for himself there. Samuel being chased down by Bakita now. So Bakita's trying to gain back those positions that she's lost. Another bad start. You know, it's the same. She's only done the 2 races in this pro final series, and yeah, she's not had a good start at either of them. She's had to sort of do this recovery drive, but she can do it well. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly she can catch up, whether she can catch up, and how the field all evens out, especially with pit stops being added into this. You know, there's a bit of strategy that can be applied.
Well, there's still an hour to go, and she's 85 points behind Sang and Burrs, who are pretty close in points. So those are the 3. Well, no, even the whole top 6 really. There can be big moves and shakers, so you never know what you're going to get in these races. So let's just keep our eyes as wide as possible.
That's the tricky thing with these pro races because absolutely everybody here has buckets of pace, and any sort of mistakes really do cost you no matter where you are in the field. It's not sort of like the typical sprints where you've got a bit of mixed field, you've got some AM drivers, some pro AM drivers, and a bit more distribution in pace. Everybody here's pretty close together, so any small mistake really can cost you a lot of time and be hard to recover from.
Absolutely. As Weatherburn taking another trip into the grass, as he has a big BMW of Ristofani, who had a very unfortunate start to this race, but he's putting all of the pressure on Weatherburn right now. A very OR liveried Aston Martin, I must say.
That replay of that tank slap, just
kept it
mid-engine things happening. Just sort of didn't want to keep turning there, unfortunately. Recovering well though, Rashuti, challenging Stacy there ahead in the Mercedes. Sorry,
Oof. Hasnam.
Hasnam.
DT.
Oh, that's not going to be good for Hasnam's race. Already down fairly in the order, and now getting a drive-through. So, not going to be happy in that cabin, I don't think.
Ristofani got a lot of work ahead of him for the next hour. It's a cool livery in front, I must agree. But yeah, this place is so tricky unless you're really forcing mistakes ahead of you to overtake, I find anyway. Being line astern is more than... Oh, as he almost gets in the back. Look, don't listen to me, drivers. Just keep doing what you're doing because it's bloody entertaining, that's for sure. But I feel like line astern most of the time saves time ahead, as he's going to give him ample space up the inside. And Weatherburn's going to say, thanks for coming. We can tango. It takes 2 to tango. I'm sure they do plenty of tangoing in Barcelona. So, right behind him again in Sector 2, and we're on for another speedy send up to turn 10 from memory. I think it's turn 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Turn 9. God darn it. So close.
Well, bit of a dive there from Ristofani, going very deep, just trying to get past Weatherburn. Maybe a little impatient on that move, but managed to... There wasn't much contact there, but that was a little bit too adventurous, I'd say. I was ready to compliment Ristofani of being very patient in the couple of turns before, but I don't know, maybe he saw an opportunity there that I didn't, but he went for it, and he's gained a spot from it.
Did give Stacy a bit of a bonk there. So... I don't know.
Hopefully
If I
not
was
too
Stacey,
much.
yeah, probably put my hand up, say, hey, stewards, have a gaze,
Well,
please.
especially in the Mercedes, because rear end damage on the Mercedes is a death sentence in that car. It really makes it very unstable, especially in the sort of high speed turns, of which there are a fair few here.
Ooh. As John Pierre gets a 10-second, how's it going, for his troubles on lap 1. So maybe the steward saw something we didn't. Maybe it was a bit later in the lap. Who knows? As Ristofani's got to look up the inside of Stacey. Not something you say often. Again, and Weatherburn might get a little bit more than he thought he was going to get into that braking zone as he gets right on the back of Stacey one more time.
Yeah, Stacey seems to be having a struggle. Maybe did pick up a little bit of that rear end damage I was talking about and is struggling a bit with the car. Because, yeah, has dropped off a bit of pace in this last lap as Weatherburn's right on their tail there as well. The gap at the front hasn't changed dramatically. It's about 3 seconds now, so not pulling away from Burrs as quickly as, again, as we saw last time at Hungaroring. Burrs has managed to put a decent gap to Sang, though, of just about 2 seconds as well. So we'll have to see how that all comes out in the wash once everybody starts pitting. But so many interesting little battle packs going on as we see what we got here. Hind, Sasha Death, Tafik there, and just ahead of them is McNeil. So lots of pace on display here. Connor Hines had a bit of a rough final season, so going to be looking for a good result here. So we've got good hopes and sending good karma his way.
Is that a real name? Do you think that's Sasha's real last name? Can I see her birth certificate? If so, it's pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
It's potentially a real name. Well, I think anything anybody wants to use as their name, classify as real, whatever you identify with. I think that's fine.
Yeah,
We
right.
see a stopped car actually, just there out of the exit turn 1. I can't quite make out who that is, but we've got a yellow flag there. Car going very
Car
slowly.
19. Car 19. Who's car 19? Johnson? Maybe
Yeah,
he had
and
a
the
bit
McLaren,
of a
he's
moment.
not been having a good race.
Maybe he had a bit of a moment. And we saw Bakita has gone in for her first stop too. So she's come out in some clear air. I think she might be a little bit, as they say, stoked to have no traffic, and she's just going to put in some laps of her own as Ristofani gets a 15-second penalty. So these top 6 are getting absolutely thrown in the spin cycle with penalties.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think it's probably going to be more to come as the stewards are probably still looking at that turn 1, turn 2 incident, because there was just a lot going on. I don't envy the stewards there as to what decisions to make about who's at fault and, who was in the right and wrong there. We've seen penalties go to, drivers who lost out and ended up way down the field, and other drivers who didn't lose out as much but are now coughing penalties. I definitely don't envy the stewards. It's not a position they probably wanted to be in for the start of this race, but it's where we are, and I'm sure they're doing the best job they possibly can.
definitely, and I dare say they've got a fair bit to look at, even in these first 20 minutes. Now, Velasquez is looking so racy here against Callum Gibbons. Both these last couple of laps, he has been just right on the rear bumper of that cow liveried. I think it's a cow. I'm gonna,
Yep.
that's a cow. Surely it's a cow. Yeah,
Yes, it
cow
is. Yes.
liveried BMW that Callum has been putting in some work in.
I think my guess about Stacey getting some damage is correct, because continuing to drop the pace here as we see Weatherburn's gotten very clear of them there, is now being challenged here by Gibbo and Velasquez and Wilson, who's coming right up the back here. So bit of a cork in the bottle for these drivers at the moment. Poor Stacey. Definitely a track where overtakes are a little bit easier to pull off than... Ooh, very deep there, Wilson. He's pulled out of it okay. He's managed to hold onto it. He's still given enough room.
It gets a bit awkward when you're on the back of a car who's also right on the back and then tries to get out of the way and then tries to get back in line. I
Yes.
find anyway. So I think that's just a bit of what's going on there.
Yeah, especially into those slow corners like that one where, yeah, just one person missing their brake marker can really create a pretty drastic concertina effect as you misjudge how fast everyone's going.
Definitely. That's awesome patina livery on that Porsche as well. Rusty patina, we'll call it patina. As Johnson comes out the pits after making their first stop. So who do we think is our net leader at the moment? Artie Answer, would he come out
I
if
think
he were to stop now?
I think well, it depends where things end up. Looks like another 15-second penalty there for Bakita. So unfortunate for her, but she's got the pace, so she can make that time up. But yeah, that's gonna make it a bit more of a struggle, and gonna make that she's gonna have to push a little bit extra just to make up that time. But the early pit stop I think will do her well, just because she'll have all that clear track ahead of her, and she can use all of her pace rather than being held up in traffic like she was before.
Yeah, but that's really it's gonna be a big challenge, I dare say, this last hour. If she wants to keep that pace up, be really good to see. So Hardy Answer saying Ann Burrs just putting in some fiery laps for almost the end of the first half an hour.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of pit stops. So a few people have pitted. So yep, there's another 10-second penalty for Tafik there. So yeah, being spread all around, and that's for lap 10. So that was a bit further into the race. That's not for the turn 1 incident.
Ristofani in. Got 15 seconds to serve and a pit stop, so maybe, do you reckon Makita would turn into an absolute mad lad, do another stop, get the 15-second pen, and just, or do you reckon he'd probably come into some terrible traffic?
With the track the way it is at the moment, I think she'd just run into traffic. I think she's just going to push for the most pace she possibly can now that we're all out, and just take that penalty when her next pit stop is, because you don't want to be carrying too much fuel. You want to get as quick a pace as you possibly can out there on track, especially if you're a bit further down the order than you should be, like she is.
Does anyone know what this snapper person in chat has absolutely lost their marbles? But yeah, as you say, the gap of Ardianza has gone out a little bit, out to 4 seconds almost. Sang in the pits. Oh, the poll finished. What should Pat take? 67% said all of them. Red Bull, whiskey, and coffee.
Is
Not
that a
sure.
drink? I feel like that's a drink. Someone's done that before, and that's a drink somewhere. Someone Google that and let us know if a Red Bull coffee whiskey. I mean, it's basically an Irish coffee with some Red Bull in it. Surely that someone's done that.
That's a lot of caffeine and sugar and
Is it though?
alcohol.
Can you have too much caffeine? I don't think you can.
As a coffee drinker, I think so. I do. As we see cars starting to pour in. So first half an hour almost done. Everyone's going to do their mandatories. If you're looking at this screen for the first time and you're wondering what the little orange boxes on the left are next to the car numbers, that is the amount of mandatory pit stops that these drivers must do in the hour and 20-minute race tonight. Some cars have done one, some cars have not done one yet. So it'll be interesting as I stumble over my words for the 100th time tonight to see what these cars start to do. If they say, oh, my pace is alright, I'll stay out, or I better get in there, get some new tyres, maybe fix up some damage that I have and get out for a solid middle stint. Because it's kind of where you set up the rest of your race, I think, this middle stint. Try to stay out of damage, try to keep the car straight on the black stuff, and just get set up for a final push on what I would assume to be about half a tank and a fresh set of tyres at the end of the race.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, it looks like a few drivers cutting the race into thirds, which is, a pretty solid strategy. It basically gives you 3 smallish kind of qualifying sessions, I guess. Longer qualifying sessions, I suppose you'd say, just to cut that race distance. Maybe people taking very low fuel for the opening stint to get as much pace as possible while they're in traffic. And then maybe taking a bit of more fuel for a mid stint and then a quick one at the end. But there's so many options you can do with the 2 mandatory stops that we'll probably see a mixture of strategies here. We've seen some people stay out, some people go in. We've seen Bakita on the last lap. She was fastest with a 143 flat, basically. So she's making the most of that track position that she's got. And she's got nice clean air ahead of her. So she's going to be trying to mitigate that 15-second penalty as much as she possibly can. And I imagine Sanikas is doing the same.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be interesting to see what comes up of all these penalties, as it's definitely going to spice it up as far as positions and where they're going to finish or come out on track for their last stint.
Yeah, well, off the stoppers, Burrs is currently in the lead. Oh no, no, there we go. The timing table is updated. So Bakita is currently in the lead. Yep, that timing table just a couple of seconds later, and it would have been correct. So Burrs just behind Bakita there, as we see now on track. Yep.
The answer in the pits. If Bakita, where's Bakita? She is in the last sector somewhere. Oh, as Tafik up the inside of Hasnam. No, that's not Hasnam, that's Ristafani. Similar liveries. He said, get out of here. That's my line. Bang. Ref says play on.
Yeah, a bit of a big bump there. Hopefully not too much damage for either car. It'll hurt the Honda more if there is any.
Now, here's a guy I like to see at the pointy end. Ali Kairudan for BDE Motorsport. Doing an absolutely fantastic job of whipping that cream and red Porsche. As always, I don't know if he drives any other cars these days. But right on the back of Chris Sang. Good to see. Good work, Ali. Top stuff.
Yeah, Chris Sang still in a good position. Still in third, I believe, after the rest of the people ahead do their pit stops. So Sang holding on, and I'd say still looking pretty good for an overall result here.
The answer is out. He is... Where's car 34 on track? Just ahead of this pack. So, look, I think this is closer than we think. Bakita has come out just behind. So, what she's going to want to do, just get right on the back of Ardianza.
Yeah, well, she's got that 15-second penalty to make up as well, unfortunately. So that's going to be factoring heavily into her pace. But yeah, she's going to be really trying to chase Daff down and overtake on track. Daff has only just pitted, so tyres will still be a bit fresh. So he won't be able to push quite as much as Bakita can behind him. So this is an opportunity for her to make up a fair bit of time while he gets those tyres up to temperature.
Kairudan, right on the back of Sang here. We're going to see a move, a half move, goes defensive. No, Ali switched on. He's not going to throw away his race in 30 minutes into this one, so just stays right in the back. And now this is where the Porsche really, really just wins, I find. You can send it, and it just turns in so well in the middle there, and you can be flat for the whole way out. Just like that. Stay on the back of what most people probably call the strongest car on the grid.
Yeah, really loves those slow corners, the Porsche, doesn't it? It can just rotate so easily and stay on the pace. I mean, obviously it takes a bit of skill to drive the car like that, but Kairudan showing us exactly how to do it.
Yeah, very skilled, Mr. Kyrune is. Now, I need to just check some statistics.
Go back down the order a little bit. We've got Tafik and Ristafani. Ristafani only a few tenths off. Right up the back end of that Honda. Interesting to see a few of the cars who have still stayed out. So it looks like Stacy is currently in 4th and has not pitted just yet. But with a penalty there as well, so not probably going to come out in the best position. As we see Gibbo also behind Stacy, usually yet to pit, so in 5th position. So pretty much 1st to 5th haven't pitted, but everybody else seems to have done their first mandatory pit so far.
As you say that, Death and Stacy.
Yep, just
Box,
piling in
box,
now.
Box.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they pushed it much further than that.
Stacy unfortunately has that penalty, so they're going to fall down a little bit further than the rest, but who's that in? Austin McNeil.
Yeah, Austin McNeil currently leading, hasn't done his mandatory pit stop just yet, but we'll probably be looking to do that relatively soon, but could be going for a long run with 2 short runs. But most people sort of looking to break it up into fairly even sets of stints here by the looks of it.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea, I dare say, if you can have some alright full tank pace and just make sure you get to those 2 shorter stints towards the end. So I guess there's a lot of luck involved in that strategy as well, as to how long you'll be able to stay out and get that good track position, which it looks like Neil has.
Back down to 9th place, we've got Cooley here, who's on the back of Samuel. Samuel's been doing quite well, actually. Just been trundling along and holding their pace quite well and staying in this top 10 pretty conclusively and staying out of the incidents and keeping it all fresh and managing to hold on to a nice top 10 at the moment. And that should improve once McNeil and Gibbons make their stops. With Gibbons, 20 seconds ahead of Daffer at the moment. So probably won't drop in order too much, but probably, yeah, definitely out of the top 10 there, probably closer to 12th.
Yeah, you really want to just make sure you're not losing too much pace late in one of these longer stints. Just knowing when enough is enough, I guess.
Gotta give a shout out to Herod here too, chasing down Sasha still with Rashudi not far behind. The one Lexus in the pros. It's good to see some of the older cars. We got a Lexus and a Nissan in the Pro Series, which is great to see some of the older cars being represented here, even this far into ACC's life.
Yeah, it's good to see still a fair variety of cars as we go 3 wide down the main straight here with Weatherburn in the background. No. Yes. No.
Vincent and Morgan.
As they're still too wide up towards turn 3, which is an absolute doozy of a place to race, and that Audi Morgan is just saying, hey, how's it going? I'm going to go up the inside if you don't mind. Are we both going to tango? We are still going to tango as they go 2 wide through turn 4. Looks like Morgan might have got a little bit of a better jump. Nope, I lied.
I've raced a bit with Morgan's, not someone who gives up position very easily. He's going to hold on to that as much as he possibly can there, but has managed to take that position nicely there. Stafford goes fastest with a 142.8, so the pace really racking up now for the leaders.
That's mental. closest I have been to that was last night in Split Lime. I did 43.7, I think, in practice. Maybe. That was my most donking lap in the Porker, which does pretty well around this joint.
It's still one of the good things about Barcelona, as some people might call it a bit of a boring track, but it does pretty fairly represent most of the cars. You know, almost all the cars have got a reasonable amount of pace here in the right hands. As we see, that's Sasha. Is that going past
Yeah, I think so.
for position? Yes. But Rashuti also putting the moves on Herod here under a bit of pressure in the Lexus. That was for positions, and McNeil losing out to Sasha just ahead there. Ooh, Herod getting a little bit tail happy there. It looks like Rashuti had to pull the anchors on a little bit. Wasn't expecting that slide. But still chasing. Looking for those opportunities.
Has to be one of the better sounding cars, that Lexus, I must admit. Despite its looks and handling abilities, it does sound great.
I think most people would agree. It's definitely one of the nicer sounding cars in ACC. Right up there with the V12 for Jag. I always call it the V12 Jag.
The V12
When I think of a
Jag, that's a new
V12
one.
Jag, because I'm thinking of the old V12 Jag, as we see. God, Rashuti really going deep there, really putting pressure here on the Lexus, which is one of those best sounding cars up there with what I meant to say, which was the V12 Aston.
Same.
Yeah, sort
Pretty
of.
much.
Not really.
British
They're
manufacturer.
both British. Whoa, no, very. I don't know if that was Herod
Maybe
braking
that.
a little earlier than he expected, or just Rashuti having a little moment of lapse of concentration there, but almost hitting the back of Herod there. Might have been contact, but it was definitely looked like it was Rashuti losing out more than Herod did.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'd say that Lexus would be facing the wrong way if there was any contact. So good work there for Rashuti to see he's not going to make it. Get out of their way. Make sure you don't ruin someone's race and get back onto the racing line as soon as you can.
Yeah, managing
Safely.
to avoid the contact, yeah.
Yeah. Now Sang, that guy's car is on rails by the look of it, but still has Ali Khairudin pestering the rear bumper. Doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, Khairudin's got to be sick of the back of this BMW by now. He's chasing it for a lot of laps, but we saw this from Sang in the last round. Just very good on the defense, even going a little wide there. It looks like Khairudin's going to try and take advantage, but Sang's just really able to close up those opportunities and hold on to a position. Very good defensive driving here.
As Gibbons, our final stopper, has stopped. So everyone will, I think, well, I can't see all the way down, but most drivers have done their first mandatory stop.
Yeah, I think Gibbons there was the last to not pit, so taking a very long stint there, 40 minutes. So
Yeah.
half of the race.
He's obviously just tried something a little bit different, which is, what it's all about. And felt, I mean, I think his pace was still pretty good, so it'll be interesting to see where he comes out and where he kind of falls in line and what he decides to do from here. He's almost just got 2 20-minute sprints left in him.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the strategy he's going to go for, is 2 very short little 20-minute sprints here at the end. Yeah, and like you said, he didn't lose heaps of pace there. And will still come out in a reasonably good position. We see him exiting the pits now. The timing board won't be up to date yet, so that's where there's a burn going past, I think. No, that's Morgan going past, so he's coming in behind Morgan, who's
20,
probably a
yeah.
blue flag. Let's wait for the timing board to update before we start saying things that aren't
No.
true.
That's not the fun of this, Mike. You trust the game to give you the right data.
It was correct. So Gibbons, wow, dropping a lot of time there. So yeah, the long stint doesn't look like it's worked for Gibbons there.
Bold strategy, Cotton. It did not pay off. as Sang is absolutely sending it on the entry there. That was wild. He was so wide on entry to that first right-hander. And Ali cuts the track and absolutely sends it into
Oh,
the
did he
pit
touch
lane.
the wall there? Almost touched the
Jeez.
wall.
Gave it the beans. I don't think so. But we're back on with Michael Velasquez in the unmissable Aston Martin livery that he wouldn't lose in a blackout, that's for sure. He's right on the back of, I'm going to call that man Dave Wilson.
Doug.
Damn it, I tried. D. Wilson, who's got a sneakers on his nose. Now,
Nick is going for a longish kind of mid-run here, obviously, because of that very, very early pit stop for damage. So it looks like he's going for a very long run. Still got that 10-second penalty, unfortunately, but doing okay here in 15th place. So hopefully he can stick with it and keep the pace up with the last pit stop. But yeah, that has very much impacted his race pretty conclusively. Bakita here, still chasing down Daffa with that 15-second pen, so hasn't been able to make the overtake on track, unfortunately. And Burrs is right behind her as well, and Sang's not far off that as well. So, yeah, it doesn't look like she's going to be able to challenge for the last position, but, you know, there's still 37 minutes to go.
yeah, definitely a lot, as we say, can happen in a little amount of time. So just over 37 minutes remaining in our last Asia Pacific Pro race for the season. Philip Bakita brings it around the last corner with a Nissan, probably a familiar face, Lucas Burrs, who is just putting in God's work, really. I feel like we need to say that about anyone that drives that Nissan. It just seems like a lot of effort.
I'd say the Porsche is a much harder car to drive, to be honest. I don't think the Nissan's actually that difficult to drive. It is difficult to get it the absolute peak pace out of it that Burrs is doing. More difficult than perhaps maybe a BMW or an Aston Martin is, because it's just a little less forgiving, and it is just slower on average. So you need to kind of throw it into the corners a bit more aggressively. It does, yeah, more aggressive driving, I would say, is required to keep the Nissan right at that top tier where Burrs is currently sitting at it. But it's got the capacity for it, as we can see on track.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anything in the right hands, but yes, Burrs. I'm not sure what Burrs drove last.
Driving a Honda
Yeah.
most recently before this, and doing very well in it in the Pro Series,
So
which
choosing
was
the
the last
100.
major thing he was doing.
Now, speak of the Pro Series, I'm so excited to see what news comes out, which I'm sure is coming out soon. In regards to that, I didn't see much of it last year. Oh, as
Samuel
that is
right on the back of
Shady
Sang.
Sam. Yeah.
Which means, yeah, so Kyrudin obviously pitting earlier, so Samuel has caught right up the back. Maybe Sang taking a little bit of a breather lap, and then he's got Samuel right on his rear end now. Julie coming in, showing us how awkward that pit entry really is.
It's just so bumpy. You try to take it at pace and it's so bumpy, and if you're in a car like the Porsche, which I found out last night, it is easy to lose the rear.
Julie is the third person on track, I think, to make their second pit stop. So himself, Wilson, and Kyrudin have all made those stops.
The Callie, Ali, I just meshed his names together. Ali Kyrudin is net first right now, so it'll be interesting. He's got some clear air. The car in front of him has an amp, no slouch, so don't think that'll be a big issue with holding him up or anything like that. So I think Ali is looking like he's going to be in position for a good result if he can keep it on the black stuff. So interesting to see where he comes out.
Yeah, well, his pace was being held up a bit there by chasing Sang for all those laps. You know, wasn't able to make an overtake, but clearly had a little bit of extra pace there. So that might have been the reason why he took that slightly earlier pit stop. As we see Cooley here coming out And we see Peach, Sneakers coming.
Up the outside.
Samuel and Sang.
Oh. Samuel, unfortunately, just getting kind of left in his exhaust fumes there.
Oh,
trying to
Sang
stick
gets a
around.
little bit loose.
Jeez, this is what we love. Oh,
Coming into pits.
Sang didn't like that. Oh, did he get the wall there?
Don't think so. So it's a deceptively wide pit lane. It looks really narrow, but just because of those green painted sections, it looks a lot narrower than it actually is. I think he's all right.
So back with Stefano Rasciuti.
Still chasing Herod here after that earlier mistake. Caught right back up though.
Yeah, he did really well to keep it out of the wall, actually, I must admit. That was an absolute tank slapper out of the first little corner exit. Turn 2. As, oh, Herod got a bit loose on entry there too. Kyrudin is looking for Sang rolling. Now that made sense in my head, but what I meant was Kyrudin will be looking for when Sang is rolling, which has begun. He's at the line. This might be a little bit close. Gamepad lad, welcome.
Looks like he's
Ali's
going
got
to get it. Yep. Karun does have that
stuff.
position, so he's taken advantage of all that nice clear air and has managed to overtake Sang in the pits, which is unfortunate. Good defense there from Sang, but that doesn't really help you when the other driver gets a bit of clean air and your pit stop isn't faster.
Yeah, it goes to show how important that in-lap and out-lap is. So getting those tyres up to that optimal pressure as safely and as quickly as possible, and you'll see Ali has a slight advantage, at least for this first lap, while Sang gets his tyres into that ideal pressure window. Now, someone who's got a little bit of work, Bakita.
Yep, still in P3 and obviously effective P2 given the 15-second penalty. He's managed to keep that gap pretty consistently to Paquita, although Paquita has sort of drawn it out by about a second or so in the last lap, maybe about half a second or so, but keeping very good pace with her here. So he's still looking at effective P2 right now, and Paquita's just looking to get as much pace as possible so she doesn't get absolutely overtaken in all the pits. But even Samuel behind is still looking to be in front of Paquita after pits if she doesn't keep gaining the time, although she might just get him if she keeps pushing those fast lap times out.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where Philippa will end up. Dare say, with the stop and with the time gaps, she'll be in the P6 to P8 range. There's a bit of a gap between Burrs and Samuel there. So if everyone were to stop now and Philippa was to do her 15-second penalty, 6th to 8th is my estimation. I know my maths hasn't been the strong suit tonight, but that camera angle is just on the piss sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, it likes to show us that hill. It's very
The
proud of
rock.
it for some reason.
Dwayne the Angle Johnson. As Skarnen, I've said it right this time, Skarnen does point out that the Lexus must be hurled around this joint or you don't get the most out of it. What's going on? Oh, I have just put 2 and 2 together and
You've
said
just
his
gotten the
name.
gag.
It
Well
just,
done.
that was live, ladies and gentlemen. Skarnen. Oh, that's amazing. I'm so slow. But, Hindcam, is this what we've been wanting?
Yeah, we got Weatherburn and Hind here, chasing very close together. Hind currently P9, doing quite well as been consistent. Oh no! Oh, sorry, Hindy. That's the
Go.
worst commentator's curse. I'm very
not,
sorry. As
not
he goes
bad.
wide, he's still holding the position though. It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
Can't be the worst. He's still in the track and he
Yep.
hasn't hit the wall.
Nobody tell him about that one. And he'll never let me hear the end of it. That's just how good he is. He managed to avoid a commentator's curse there.
Yeah.
AMG is notoriously bad on tires too, so I imagine the side of the tires there is maybe starting to wear a bit, given that it's been a while since he made his pit stop. And maybe struggling a bit there. Weatherburn chasing very closely and sticking with him.
This AMG gives me PTSD around this track in season. Oh, I can't even remember. 9? No. I don't know. Crashed the AMG under safety car into the wall. Ended my race. I put it in the wall up the S's. I don't know how I did it. It's impressive, but I was the biggest sad.
We missed a penalty there for Ristofani as well, for a collision.
These two just going at it. Teammates, I hear.
Yeah, they raced together a bit, but have driven for Milk Racing Team, MRT, in the past and have driven the same car together. So, yes, a little bit of teammate rivalry. Oh, as we see Weatherburn just getting a little bit squirrely there. It looks like just trying to manage the pace behind here. He's perhaps just not quite going as fast as Weatherburn would like to be going and had to sort of pull the brakes up a bit.
He's just got this car on the limit, Weatherburn, and he's really giving it the beans. As this little battle pack of Death, McNeil, and Hignett just close up a little bit. I think
Yeah, lots of
Hignett's
good,
been
strong performance here.
yeah, quiet contender tonight. Haven't seen much of Hignett, so he's just been putting lap in after lap and hitting his marks.
Yeah, similar to Samuel, we're just sort of slowly maintaining position and staying out of trouble. As we see Hignett jump into the pits there ahead of Sasha. So it's interesting to see where Hignett ends up after everything works out on the timing tower.
Yeah, look, that timing tower needs an update in 1.9, I think. That'd be
I
a
don't
good
think that's
update.
coming. I've seen the math behind the scenes of how the timing tower works, and yeah, that's not changing anytime soon. We'll need a new game for that.
Really? Is it that bad?
It's not bad. It's just the way that they calculate it is based on what they call microsectors, which are little sectors on the track that are invisible. And yeah, the way they're spaced out per track is sometimes a little bit odd, and how quickly it updates. It's all very boring, honestly. But yeah,
I'm
don't
interested.
expect that timing tower to improve anytime soon for ACC. I
Damn it.
think.
Maybe my hopes are too high. My highs are too hopes for ACC.
Look, it's something they could change, but I think there's bigger priorities for them as far as the game goes. Yeah, it does eventually work itself out, and it's not too bad. It's only really bad for us up here in the commentary box. When you're out on track, it's generally pretty accurate.
Yeah. They just don't look after the commentators. It's a bit sad to see, honestly. As Bakita says, stuff this, I'm going to serve my penalty and have a 24 or so minute sprint to the end.
Yeah, well, she's done a pretty long middle stint there on the same set of tires and on what must have been reasonably heavy fuel load. So she's going to be really pulling out all the stops on this last stint and seeing where she can end up at the end of it all.
So
Shady there,
Samuel
also
too,
behind.
yeah. Now, do we all agree Austin  big improver this season? I think from what I've seen, He's done very well to get himself where he is, and he's holding his own as well with all these pro-rated drivers. So good on him. Well done.
Yeah, one of the newer drivers to OOR, and yeah, has absolutely shown how much performance they have in very quick succession, making it to pro very quickly, and showing just how much pace that he has.
And from what I understand, Velasquez was one of the speedier drivers on console ACC.
Well, Velasquez is most famous for being a gamepad user until very recently.
Well, that could also make sense too. So that flag down the bottom is Cuba. Is it no? Puerto Rico? No. It's one of. Is it Cuba? No, it's not. It's
No, I
not
didn't
Cuba.
see it. Sorry, I don't believe it is though.
No, Venezuela. No, what flag is that? Gosh darn it.
Welcome
Corey,
to the chat, Corey. We're sad to
good
not
to
be
see
seeing
ya.
you on track.
You big goofball.
You missed an amazing first lap.
What is that flag? Philippines. Look,
Ah, yes, yeah, that's the Filipino flag. Yes, it
shit.
is.
Not close. Not close geographically. But they start with a P.
Well, all right, we'll give you a half point for that.
Thanks. I appreciate. I'll take anything I can get.
So Bakita's come out behind Kyrudin, so effect P9 at the moment, after that second pit stop and that penalty. So still not in a terrible position, so she's definitely put the ponies to work over that second stint, and yeah, she's going to be doing more in this next one. As we see Daffa now in the pits, our race leader. I think we'll see him come out ahead of Burrs after Burrs makes his stop, but we'll have to see what kind of pace Burrs can put on.
Yeah, life. Nah, life is fair, Corey. What did you miss? Well, a very wet end to qualification, and then a very dry race, a very chaotic first lap, some penalties, and that's it so far. We still have 20 minutes, and you know, a lot can happen in 20 minutes. 20 minutes sometimes feels like a lifetime also, but yeah, Sang, the defensive god.
Lost a few positions here by the looks of it through all the pit stops, and yeah, just maybe just dropped off the pace a little bit and didn't get as good on the outlaps.
Did you know Corey Sweet found the digit, the last digit of pi? Oh, he's just a
What is it, Corey?
mathematic god.
He's got to tell us now.
They went motor racing. That'll be a change, as Hignet has gone down the inside of Sang and he's away. Hignet has been a silent operator tonight, I must say, so I could put my hands together for Benjamin. I've raced together with Benjamin once upon a time in an endurance series race, back when it was a 3-hour race. Didn't go well at Bathurst, put the car in the wall, but you know, can say I've raced with the gentleman. He does a lot of work with the rookies.
Yep, doing very well here tonight. As we're seeing, almost everybody has made their pit stops. So McNeil's ahead at the moment, still has to make a pit stop. Gibbons still has to also make a pit stop. Daffa is still our effective leader for now. Burrs didn't get them in the pit stop, P4 at the moment, but effectively P2. And Paquito has gone down to P4. So she's still gained quite a bit of time there.
Yeah, Kai Rudin, absolutely stonking job in that middle stint to put in some really strong laps.
Yeah, really played the strategy to their advantage there.
Yeah, look, Corey, I might have over-exaggerated, to be fair.
If you're watching lap 1, just, get your Fs ready.
It wasn't even major Fs. I over-exaggerated. I looked away and I stood up and I went away from my desk after that first contact thinking that everyone had died. Turn around and still green.
Oh, as we see some
As
death, that's Sang and Rashudi coming together. We could get a replay.
Shooty gets a pretty good run out of there. And everyone has been looking down the inside here specifically against Sang. So Rashudi may have thought he had enough room to play. Gets a bit up on the curb. Not
Yeah, Sang maybe not giving quite enough space and turning in a bit much on that corner. It does seem that that's pretty fair play on that. Rashudi is still on his tail, but yeah, maybe turning in a little early there for Sang, not realizing that Rashudi was there. I think Rashudi had some right to the corner, but I'm not sure just how far alongside they were. But Rashudi definitely now got the pace down the straight, and he's going to make it look easy going into turn 1. It's interesting to see Sang just sort of has dropped off the pace a little bit. I can't imagine would have picked up much damage, but does seem to be struggling here in this last section.
Yeah, maybe just wants to get out of the way of them. I'm not sure.
Perhaps giving the position back.
But as Scarnon says, did you know that Corey Sweet is the oldest racer in OR? His
Is he?
age starts with an 8. Yeah. He's 80 something.
You're only as old as you think you are.
He has a
Age is
walking
just a
stick
number.
modification on his rig, actually. It's like the only one in Australia. His walking frame fits on his rig so he can get in and out.
Yeah, Sang continuing to go a bit slow here as Herod now really making it look like Sang's just standing still down there on the straight, going for an overtake on the outside, doing almost the same thing we saw Sang do. But I think Sang definitely had the line there. It was well alongside. So Herod not quite making that move stick.
Oh gosh, there's so much going on between these two. Oh no, the condensation.
I think Herod will get him here on the straight.
Definitely. Defending for his life. Must have some damage or something.
Definitely has to be damaged just on the lack of pace there, or potentially ridiculously overfueled perhaps, but even lots of fuel doesn't make that much of a pace difference that we're seeing. So interesting to see what Sang has to say after the race, but yeah, just dropping positions very easily here, unfortunately.
Yeah, in this last stint, it's been almost 1 a lap. So Weatherburn got the easiest pass there. And those two in front are edging their way closer to the top 10 result. So it'd be interesting to see where these two can get on the back of Rashudi to fight for that last spot.
Peter hassling Kyruden here. We've seen this battle a few times. But the hazard's on there. I don't know if that's on purpose.
Yeah. I think
Maybe
they are
Kyruden having a bit of
very good
damage.
friends. No, I think they're friends.
We're seeing team tactics here.
No, I don't think the Porsche is going to keep up with the BMW in a straight line there any day of the week.
Ah, yes, I forgot about how anemic that car is on the straight.
Apparently the 992 has a little bit of help in the top end, so... But see, even then, he's right on the back. He's still on the back of that BMW. It's just its major fault. It's not
Yeah.
that bad. It's just the straight is pretty long here, so it just gets exaggerated, but...
Yeah, it depends on the car that's overtaking it. Like, cars that are really, really strong in straight line performance show it a lot more.
Definitely. But it's a hoot to drive that little Porsche.
Yeah, I do hope the 992 gives it some of that straight line pace back a bit because it really is just a big pace deficit.
No, Maddox had what we would call a tank slapper. No, no. Okay, so. Oh, wait, no, maybe that was in. What am I thinking about? Was Maddox the Audi that got put in the wall in the practice race?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. What has happened to Maddox tonight? Was Maddox in this race? Wasn't he in the split purple race? I could have sworn Maddox was in the split purple race. Let me have a look at the data.
Yeah, I came into that one late, so I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure Maddox is in. No, he's not in the pro finals. He was in the split purple, so I knew I remembered something correctly tonight. Scarnon has just tried to bamboozle me, as we see.
That's Page making another Porsche look slow. It's Doug taking that exit.
Jean-Pierre getting right on the back of Sang, who must have some sort of drama. Are they fuel saving? Did they maybe under fuel? Oh, as he's just
Doug
been given
Wilson
an
there.
absolute thwarting by the Porsche.
Yeah,
Chris
going up on
Sang.
the inside as we watch the replay of that just to see what exactly transpired there. We see Peach going past very easily. Again, saying obviously carrying damage. There's no other reason for his lack of pace I can see. Yeah, Doug just perhaps a little bit of a bite from the rear end of the Porsche, which it does tend to do when it's a bit lower on fuel. But yeah, it hasn't ended well there for Sang.
That's another thing I just didn't think about. Maybe Sang didn't fuel enough at their stop and they're doing a bit of fuel saving, so that could be another reason. He is back in map
He is
1.
in map 1, which is the fastest map
But
for
that
the
could have been
BMW, so that's not fuel saving.
post-accident, maybe? Not
It did
sure.
have some contact that we did see on stream with Rashuti earlier, but it didn't look like that big of a hit.
So something major going on there as Johnson gets out of the way
Yep,
quickly.
good blue flag in there.
Gibbons and Tafik on the back of Sang. So,
Not the end to the championship I think Sang would have been hoping for.
or I've just had some insider information. It could be on an old used set of tires. Now,
Oh, that would be tragic.
that would be a great reason for this pace deficit. Who? So,
Yeah, perhaps picking the qualifying tyres or something of that nature, which, yeah, that would be a very tragic way to end it.
yeah, definitely. As we sneak into the last 10 minutes of Asia Pacific ACC for this season.
It's just flown by. We're almost at the end.
So, what are our gaps like at the moment? How far is Burrs off the back? Is that 8 seconds?
Yeah, quite a bit off the back of Dapper. I think Dapper's got this in the bag, given that all the pit stops have been worked out. So barring a mistake or some sort of incident, I think Dapper's got this in the bag. It'll be interesting to see if Bakita can catch up to Burrs. But as far as the championship goes, I think this puts Burrs in the winning seat, doesn't it?
I think it does. Did Artie Anson not get any points last week?
Yes, unfortunately, there was a disqualification due to a lack of Motec data being submitted.
Well, that'll do it. Yeah, that'll definitely do it. Never mind. That's what I was thinking. I was like, he's so far ahead, but he's not on the points for. But that does make sense. That's pretty unfortunate.
And I believe missing the first round as well. So
Hmm. Nonetheless, Burrs in the pilot seat.
I'm more than a little excited to see a Nissan take out the Pros. I'm not going to lie.
Chat, do we think this could be the last time we see a Nissan succeed at this kind of level?
Not if Burrs keeps driving it, I don't think.
Do you think he'll want to drive another season in it?
He does like the car.
That much? No, that's
Definitely been
understandable.
successful.
If you love it and you succeed in it, why not? But go out on a high note, or
Yeah, well, it'd be a pretty good high note to leave the car on. But, I mean, he only just switched back to the Nissan this season. Was running with the Honda for a while there. So might have another season in it as we see Weatherburn chasing up the back of the Lexus here. Herod doing well just outside the top 10 at the moment. Doesn't look like within that sort of striking distance, barring some mistakes, but still a lot of pace on display here. But Weatherburn's really putting a challenge on the rear end of that Lexus. That is curse, sorry, Yoda. Taking a bit
No
much
comment.
of the curb there. In the Aston. The Aston, thankfully, can handle a fair bit of curb, so it didn't do a Ferrari and completely die.
we'll check back in with the leader, Ardianza, out here, just cruising along with the final 7.5 minutes in the final race of this season.
Can we call it cruising when you're going that fast, though?
Yeah, I think when you don't have anyone within 8 seconds of you, I'd say you would be cruising. As his car to be doing a bit of crab walking there. Looks funny.
A lot of that gap that Arianza has is from the pit stops, because we've seen like Burrs has dropped off a bit, but hasn't, dropped off significantly in this last thing. So the pace seems to be pretty close together. It's just not fast enough to really make any gains on that 8-second gap.
So live standings, if the race were to finish now, we saw Burrs, Sang, Bakita. So unfortunately, Sang, with whatever is going on with his vehicle, may have secured second place.
Yeah, but if he's ailing, Vintner's not far off, and the more positions he loses, the less points he's going to get. And Bakita could sneak into P2 there, especially if she manages to get past Burrs here as well, which
What was the gap?
doesn't look likely.
What was the point gap from Bakita to Sang? Is there enough points from her overtaking Burrs to get
It's
second?
only about 8 points or so, so I think Sagan still have to drop a few more positions, but
Oh, she's also 7.5 seconds behind Burrs.
that gap has been shortening.
If she
Yeah, she finishes
second,
P2, she gets P2, yeah. That's what I thought. So if she can get Burrs, which is possible, but it's going to be hard. Burrs isn't going, I think, Burrs isn't slowing down enough for her to catch. Their pace is still pretty close together. She's catching, but I don't think she's got enough time left.
I'm sure she'll be giving it the beans, as always. But yeah, those top four are so spread out. Like 6 seconds from Kyron to Bakita, and then 7 seconds to Burrs, and 8 seconds to Ardianza. Hectic. Imagine if Sweet was up there. If Sang finishes 22nd or lower, she finishes P2 overall.
Right, so yeah, so
So-
22nd at the moment. Vintner has overtaken.
He's got rear damage there, I think. The wing, he's lost paint on his wing.
A little bit off track.
Yeah.
The slidiness
that
of the
rear
car
damage.
and that rear damage, yeah. So that's got to be it. It could potentially also your statement from earlier where he might have put on old tires. It could be a combination of both those factors, which would be
Dear.
pretty tragic.
Yeah, wonder why. Maybe it was something we missed after his last pit stop. I wonder why he didn't repair it. Maybe it's quite. I guess it has to be quite significant if this is the pace deficit that he's kind of seeing.
I can't remember the other car that was involved, but there was that incident with saying just a bit of, that's right, with Doug Wilson coming up the rear of him there. So that may be where that rear end damage has come from.
Oh, out of context memes, I love it.
So yeah, a bit of a
yes,
sad one for staying here. Unfortunately, definitely not the way I think Chris would have been looking to finish up the championship, potentially losing that spot there.
just a moment.
Weatherburn still chasing Herod here. These two are pretty inseparable the last couple of laps. Some places it looks like Weatherburn's got a fair bit more pace, but in other sections, Herod's just pulling that gap away just ever so slightly. So still on here for 11th place with Weatherburn, but not managing to make it stick just yet. Get good exit there. Have a nice run down this straight. Not gonna have enough of a move on. Herod's actually not too far off Rashuti here, so maybe also potentially chasing that top 10 if he can manage it in these last 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, these two seem to be the dynamic duo of the evening. Can't get them apart from each other.
Quick shout out to Senecas, who we're just seeing in the background there, getting hassled by Velasquez. Up to P13 after a pretty awful start to the race, getting a lot of damage and also an unfortunate 10-second penalty. But he's still managed to crawl his way back up there into 13th place and is still, on for it behind Weatherburn here. He's not too far off. Probably not going to improve that position, but it's only going to take one mistake from these two who are driving really close together up here to potentially make Senecas' night just that little bit better.
Brought to you by Monster Energy. Weatherburn is giving it the right beans at the moment. By the looks of it, he was a little bit closer out of one there, and he's getting a little bit better of a run there too. Oh, tries to kiss it goodnight, but
A
it
little bit
always did
impatient
well.
there. Managed to hold on to it, but yeah, that's cost him time that he doesn't have with only a minute and a half left in this race.
Talked him up a little bit too much, maybe.
Asnam, another driver who hasn't had the best evening here. Been in the wars a bit, had some damage, had some penalties, and down there in 20th position.
Yeah, I think he also had quite an eventful beginning to the race as Hasnam looks down the inside of Tafik, and that was pretty easy done.
Yeah, it makes
Nice
that
and
look
early.
nice and easy. Does seem to be the prime overtaking position this evening, doesn't it? It's pretty much where everyone's making that move. I guess it's a nice, slow corner and someone breaks a little bit early. You can sort of outbrake them pretty easily there. Sneakers actually really closing that gap to Weatherburn. Weatherburn probably being... Oh, sorry. I completely gotten my order messed up. So a silver-looking Aston.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's a hairpin. It's an ACC. There's a hairpin. There's going to be sends. If you could both tango, you're both done well. As Morgan gets in front of Wilson. As Ardianza, Daffa Ardianza is going to do another lap.
This will be the start of the final lap, I believe. Yep. One more to go.
Could have just lifted, but wants
Yeah,
to do
lift
another
and we
lap.
would have had the end, but no. Daffa wants to do one more lap around.
And these guys will be happy because they'll get another, as it says, final lap. It's a bit confusing. Maybe he, oh, doesn't matter.
Senecas has caught Weatherburn a fair bit here. Can he do it on this last lap? Can he inch back up into 12th position? Weatherburn battling really hard here with Herod for the last couple of laps. Velasquez not
Yeah.
far behind there too. A nice little train of Aston Martins, 3 of them, all being led by a mighty Lexus.
Yeah, this is astonishing. There's still some massive battle packs going on here. As Callum Gibbons looks up the inside of Doug Wilson, which kind of mucks up Hasnam on the backside. It says final lap on every car. That can't be right. Maybe that means the lead is on the final lap.
The leaders on the final lap, yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, so these
Price
guys
is
should all
converted.
get one more lap to go.
Stefano Schutti and his little train of Aston Martins follows along behind.
Yeah,
And a
Ricciuti's got
Lexus.
a reasonably comfortable gap there, probably helped by Herod being a bit on the defensive drive there as we see Gibbons overtaking Wilson. Nicely done there. Wilson giving him the space, but has managed to switch it back. Holding on to that position for now. I'd say Wilson's got a little bit of damage.
As
Duffer very slowly coming across
takes
the
it.
line there. Did Duffer run out of fuel? Or is
No.
he just making a show of it?
I think he's just making a show. Well done. As I think we are going to call Lucas Burrs our Asia Pacific Pro-Am champion.
Yeah, well done to Burrs there. Very well earned. Has done quite well all across the championship. There's been a bit of misfortune up and down the field that's helped him out, but no one can argue that first place was well deserved. It's not always about who wins every single race and gets the maximum amount of points. It's sometimes just about who's the most consistent, stays out of trouble. As we see
Definitely.
Cooley making a nice little drift across the line there. Thanks for that, mate.
He says, I don't want any more Aston Martin. I'm going to put it in the bin. As this little battle pack still coming through Sector 3, they're sick of Herod. They don't want to see the back of this Monster Energy sponsored Lexus anymore.
Yep, Herod's holding on to it as Sneakers goes for the challenge there. Doesn't quite have the time left to overtake Weatherburn there, but well done to Herod. He held that position very well and managed to nip that 11th place in.
So well done all that competed tonight. As we still have a couple of races coming around. Oh my goodness, that was close.
Evans not knowing that Sang was there.
As Ben Vintner is going to be...
Defeat coming behind as our last finisher.
Have they run out of fuel?
That looks like a lack of fuel. Has he got enough beans to cross the line?
Well, congratulations all, but most congratulations goes to Lucas Burrs. Well done. That is Pro-Am title championship for Asia Pacific, followed by...
Pro title.
What did I say? Pro-Am.
Pro-Am, yeah. Pro title.
Don't even listen to me. I think we're going to have Philippa Bakita in second and Chris Sang in third if Race Controls Mathematics hit the nail on the head. So, fantastic job all.
For this race, obviously, it was Daffa in first position, followed by Burrs, who takes out the championship. Paquito, who I believe does make second place based on the other positions, in third there. Very good recovery drive from her. And we have Kairuden in fourth, another good drive. Samuel, Cooley, Death, McNeil, Hignett, and Rashuti making out the rest of the top 10. So good racing from all, plenty of content from that, especially on lap 1, but they also maintained it throughout the rest of the race as well. So that was really fun to watch and pretty good end to the championship, I'd say.
Definitely, and a Nissan. Who would have thought Meg D's favourite car taking out a championship? But
Yeah, I'm
with
going to
that,
bring that up every time she badmouths the Nissan from now on.
agreed. Chat, I must thank you all for participating and getting amongst in the chat. Mike, thanks for joining me. Mull, thanks for being the man behind all of the cams. And that is going to wrap up Asia Pacific for this season. So
Yeah.
have a good long weekend, everyone, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, and don't forget to check out our amazing sponsors throughout the whole season, Simrigs. You can, if you're a Patreon, you can get a good deal with Simrigs from us by being an OOR patron. And don't forget, next weekend we will be having our next endurance race, which will be at Donington for 8 hours. So that'll be the next sort of major event we're putting on, as well as a couple other little races that we've got planned as we come up to the much-awaited 1.9 update, which is going to be pretty exciting. So yeah, thanks everybody in chat. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Well done to everybody who raced. Well done to Burrs for taking out the championship. And yeah, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace.